and Russ Salzberg on sports.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, coastal towns beginning to feel the brunt of the storm. Tropical storm Danielle. Tonight, pounding waves. They're battering the shore. Driving rain is flooding the roads, and water is pouring into homes along the coastline. Brenda Flanagan is standing by live now in Seabright with the latest. Brenda, all yours.
Well, Rollin, the wind has picked up considerably here on the coast. It's expected to hit about 50 miles an hour later on. So far, police report no damage to homes, but there's been considerable beach erosion. Localized flooding has prompted the police to close down some roads. We hear the White and Black Horse Pikes are closed down by Atlantic City, 36 up here in Seabright. And this night's far from over as New Jersey is anxiously awaiting the arrival of Tropical Storm Danielle. High winds whipped waves to a frenzy, and the surf pounded up and over the seawall in Seabright and Monmouth Beach, sending water cascading onto Route 36 below. People gathered to watch. Don't you have something drier to do?
No, I love this weather. I can stay out here all night watching.
No, do you have any property around here?
No, I live in Kingsburg.
So this is just a spectator sport for you?
Yeah.
It was sport for some jet skiers earlier, but as the tide rolled in, police blocked off Route 36 at the Rumson Bridge, and rescue trucks moved into position just in case. Now, as bad as this high tide looks, and it's pretty bad, it's going to be even worse in a couple hours on the other side of Seabright. That's when the river's going to peak. Houses along these low-lying streets always flood out. Here at the Wells home, rugs are rolled, furniture's piled high, and appliances are up on cinder blocks. Aren't you concerned this could be bad?
No, we stayed through the October one and...
The Halloween storm?
Yes. And we got water in here, but it's not that bad. You just go upstairs and you hang out, you watch TV.
Now, the storm is supposed to hit here at about 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, but the danger zone is supposed to be when high tide comes at about 8 o'clock in the morning. Police will be watching that closely. They did tell me, however, that they don't think Danielle's going to be as bad as the Halloween storm that hit last year. However, they said they have to keep an eye. These things can be very unpredictable. I'm Brenda Flanagan reporting live from Seabright at the shore. Back to you, Rollin.
Brenda, you covered the October storm, and now this one. Any comparison from you, quickly?
Right now, it doesn't look to be as bad. It looks like what the police are seeing is perhaps true. However, we have heard people say that they were able to get into the water and surf at the Halloween storm. They couldn't get into the water here, so that who knows?
All right, maybe George Lindsay Young knows. He has been following the track of this, Danielle. What do you have right now, George?
Latest on Tropical Storm Danielle. Rollin is this: 38.4 north, 75.5 west near Salisbury, Maryland. Winds are at 60 miles per hour. The storm system is moving towards the north at 13 miles per hour. Barometer right now 29.74, and it is rising, indicating the storm is weakening ever so slightly. Now, here's why we're keeping an eye on this storm system. Strong high pressure way up here in Maine, combined with the tropical storm, is kicking up some high winds. Now, those high winds create very high tides. Plus, we're very close to the astronomical high tide, too. That'll be Saturday morning with the new moon. So the combination of the high pressure, the high tides, and the high winds creating a potential flooding situation along the Jersey coastline. Now, here's what we have for you in terms of watches and warnings. Coastal flood warnings are in effect from Watch Hill, Rhode Island, southward towards Virginia Beach, Virginia. That includes the Jersey Shore, around Long Island, and, of course, the New York Harbor waters. That means the potential's there for coastal flooding all the way through Saturday night. Here are the primary concerns that we have. Of course, coastal flooding, beach erosion along the shore areas. Of course, high winds and heavy rains, which are normally associated with a tropical storm. Now, inland in, say, the suburbs of New Jersey or Long Island, the primary factors will be the high winds and the heavy rains. But these factors are the ones that present the primary concerns along the coastal areas. All right, here's the radar summary. Typical tropical storm looking. You can see the rain shower activity moved all the way across into New Jersey, New York City, the boroughs, onto Long Island. Again, all of this activity moving towards the north at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. More on Tropical Storm Danielle later on in the newscast. Roland.
All right, George. Now, the storm is smashing into the Brooklyn coast. Seagate is feeling the effects. The town east of Coney Island is being hit by strong waves and heavy tides. Residents are worried about severe flooding, and they are making sandbags to try to stem the tide. We'll get back and have more on Danielle as we continue this broadcast. In the meantime, just when you think
substantial beaches, and New York City officials are also concerned about erosion along the Rockaway and Coney Island beaches and at the Staten Island Great Kills beaches and Reese Beach in Queens. A couple other notes: entrances to Coney Island restrooms are sandbagged. to prevent flooding. And on the Coney Island boardwalk, the parachute jump, which is being refurbished, is it's being refurbished. It's secured in case the storm gets worse. But right now at Seagate, there is a bit of a lull. The winds are not too heavy, and seems like the tide is going out, but things may get worse as Danielle gets closer. Reporting live from Seagate, this is Jeff Weiser, Fox News. John and Cora Ann, back to you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Of course, we'll get more from Nick a little later on.
Coast of New Jersey or Long Island, get ready for the full fury of Tropical Storm Danielle tomorrow morning.
Well, brace yourselves indeed. Wild winds, lashing rain, thundering waves, all unleashed by a tropical storm still many miles away. And that's what residents of a large stretch of New Jersey and Long Island are coping with at this hour. The surf is crashing against the shore and leaping over seawalls. Danielle is churning up the east coast with 60-mile-an-hour winds. Sand is washing away from the New Jersey beach area, and a number of Long Island residents fearful of flooding are evacuating their homes. News 4's Kevin Rosen is standing by in Seabright, New Jersey, and Dave Browdy is in Gilgo Beach, Long Island. First, we're going to switch to Kevin.
Chuck, I'm told that the winds are gusting as high as 60 miles per hour here at Seabright Beach. The good news here is that high tide is over, and Seabright has escaped any serious damage. But the worst of this storm isn't supposed to hit until early tomorrow morning. That will be low tide, so emergency management people are looking past that point now. The famous Seabright Wall, the only barrier between the ocean and the residents of Seabright. At high tide tonight, the water splashed over the wall and flooded Route 36, which was closed to traffic. But that's nothing unusual for the residents of Seabright, who go through this a lot. This community is still recovering from a storm last Halloween that caused flooding and millions of dollars of damages to homes. They're not expecting anything like that this time because the worst of the storm is expected to hit early tomorrow morning at low tide. Even as strong as this storm is, from what you've heard with the winds and the high tides, even at low tide, it's not going to do much damage here?
No, it shouldn't do much damage at all, if any.
So when's your next biggest concern?
I understand tomorrow morning at the next high tide that they're expecting waves up to from anywhere between 10 and 15 feet.
And tomorrow morning is the biggest concern now, because even as this storm moves out, they're saying it could carry 15 to 16-foot waves. If those waves are here tomorrow morning at about 8:30, then there could be some serious damage. But for now, people here are resting easy. Let's see how they're doing up on Long Island at Gilgo Beach. Dave Browdy is there live.
Well, Kevin, we've actually moved out a little further east. We're now in the town of Bayshore, where we're getting some wind and a tiny little bit of rain. It is just past high tide here. And you can see out behind me how high the water came here at the docks where the ferries to Fire Island come in. It came up to about a foot from the top. Not quite enough to cause serious flooding, but really Danielle's fury hasn't been felt here. Not yet. Even before high tide, even before the rains came, low-lying areas here in Bayshore began to flood. Ferries from here to Fire Island were stopped, and further west in the town of Babylon, officials urged residents along Ocean Parkway to evacuate and move to higher ground, but most didn't do it.
The town recommended that we leave tonight, okay, for the high tide tomorrow morning, but I don't think it's going to be drastic enough to warrant leaving.
People don't seem to be paying a lot of attention this time. Do you have any idea why?
Well, they've had many of these storms in the past, and a lot of times there's always a lot of more hype than anything else, but this time we're very concerned, and we really urge everybody to evacuate.
The surf was whipped up by a steady eastern wind. Beach experts report already seeing signs of substantial erosion. But here on Bayshore tonight, the big question is, will the rising waters jump the channels and flood houses along the south shore? How much more does it have to come up before it'll get into your backyard there?
About another 7 or 8 inches.
Some folks tried pumps to hold back the rising tide. That didn't work either. Now, you can see the water here in that pool. You can see the water in the pool here, and it is coming up and going down with the tide. It is out in front of a restaurant that is trying to get the people in tonight. They've had quite a hard time, but they're expecting just to have a tropical storm party and not really much more, at least not till tomorrow morning. Reporting live from Bayshore, I'm Dave Browdy. Now back to the studio. Chuck?
The party already began behind Dave, doesn't it?
Yes, they don't look real worried. Well, anyway, Al Roker has spent the evening tracking Danielle's path, and he's in the Weather Center with the latest. Al?
Well, thanks a lot, Sue. And we do have some good news. Danielle has moved inland. In fact, it is now just southeast of Baltimore. Take a look. Winds at 45 miles per hour, so there has been a decrease. And as it continues moving inland, well, we should see a little bit of a break. But tropical storm winds still extend out 115 miles northeast from the storm. So that puts us still within the brunt of some of Tropical Storm Danielle's winds. It's moving northwest 15, 16 miles per hour. A look at our live exclusive Doppler radar shows that we do have some substantial showers through Middlesex and Monmouth counties. We do have a tropical storm warning still in effect for all the coastal waters of our viewing area. Flood watches in effect for parts of central in the northwestern New Jersey, the inland sections there, because we still could pick up 2 to 3 inches of rain from Danielle. But the good news is, as it moves inland, it's going to lose some of its strength. We'll have the track of Danielle and tell you what the rest of the weekend will bring a little bit later. Chuck and Sue?
Oh, thank you.
Well, we have a look now at what could be in store for us for Danielle. This storm just might dump a lot of rain on us, and that means flooding, of course. Ask the people in Virginia. Cars in downtown Norfolk were left sitting in 3 feet of water. Also near Virginia Beach, there were some piers that have disappeared under the high water, with the boats actually floating above the dock. And if you've got a house on the water, you'll have to take very special care. North Carolina there, tall waves were pounding over sea walls, threatening beachfront homes. Tides were as much as 3 feet above normal, with the water churned up by winds over 50 miles an hour. Sustained winds for a tropical storm can reach 73 miles an hour, and then after that it's classified a hurricane.
In other news tonight, 2 construction workers in a truck.
Plenty of rain all the way from North Carolina to New England, and that caused flooding. A state of emergency was declared in a few coastal towns in Delaware, and residents in a few beach communities in New Jersey and on Long Island had to leave their homes for higher ground. That's the news at this hour.